Welcome to another episode of Historical Markers. Today we're in Grundy County and we're at the Grundy County Historical Society. So several of these markers are located directly on the grounds of the Historical Society, and there may be a few that are just kind of near the area. But stay tuned and let's look at all of the markers around the Historical Society. Here's artifacts in the exhibit area. The butterfly, created by artist Jamie O. Chernicki, is a study in motion and balance. He also created a bird feeder that's south of the terrace. It was installed in 2023 by Jose Santisteban, who laid the sandstone apron into which the stem of the bird feeder is mounted. And if we look up, there's the butterfly. And then back in the background is the water fountain. This marker has scenes from the South Cumberland State Park. This marker is for the Horseshoe School traffic control. This overhead stop and go light was mounted over Main Street in Tracy City at 14th Street to control the traffic to and from the James K. Horseshoe School located on the hill between 12th Street and 14th Street. So we scroll up, and there's the stoplight that was posted there. Here we have Golan's #1 new model sorghum mill. The sorghum mill was made by Golan's Foundry and Machine Company of Columbus, Georgia. It was found on a farm in Grundy County, owned by Keith McBee, and donated to him by Grundy County Historical Heritage Center. We are in Tracy City and an exhibition area. And this is the Farquhar steam engine and boiler. The portable steam engine and boiler on display provided power to the Killam sawmill on Old Stone Door Road in Beersheba Springs. And then there's the steam boiler. Here's another marker for Tracy City. The southern steel industry originates at Tracy City with the extraction of Sewanee seam coal in 1858. The first shipment of coal from the Wooten Mine occurred November 8, 1858 by the Sewanee Mining Company. The Sewanee Mining Company had been chartered in 1852 by investors from New York led by Samuel F. Tracy. It had built a railroad up to the Cumberland Plateau to Coal Bank to transport the coal it mined. There was little coal at Coal Bank, and what was there was of poor quality. In 1857, the company extended the railroad 10 miles through the forest to the site of the original discovery of coal on the plateau and established the Wooten Mine. Now, if you wish to pause and read the rest of this, lots of good information about Tracy City. This marker talks about Leonard L Tate. In the years to come, Grundy County will be remembered for one reason: that Leonard L Tate lived here and wrote his poetry. These words of County Judge J. L. Rawlins proclaim the significance of the poet laureate of Grundy County. Leonard Tate was born on April 19, 1912 in a log cabin set on a bluff in Beersheba Springs overlooking the Cumberland Plateau. He lived on his magnificent site until his death on November 30th, 1989. Leonard Tate's family first came to Middle Tennessee in 1805. He was the son of William M. Tate and Martha Bell Smith Tate. His mother was the first librarian of Beersheba. He credited her for all in him that was good. In letter to the editor of the Chattanooga Times in 1940, he wrote, "I have never had a moment's literary training of any kind in my life. I write merely because I love it and want to. In short, I have worked alone always, since there is no one else here who writes or is interested in writing for publication. Consequently, I have had very little to encourage me in my loneliness. I think sometimes if it were not for the inspiration I derive from these hills I love, that I could not carry on." The formation of coal on the plateau. During the Pennsylvanian geological period, the surface of the land was inundated with swamps and a fern-like plants of all sizes grew. Branches and leaves of the plants accumulated in the stagnant water and formed peat. This condition is depicted in a banner in the Heritage Center prepared by artist Mary Parrish of the Smithsonian Institution. Thereafter, the continents of the plant collided. Pangea and the African cotton collided on the eastern coast of the North American continent, creating the Appalachian Mountain Range, which is the highest mountain range there has ever been. The buildup on part of the mountain chain that became the South Cumberland Plateau reached 10,000 feet above sea level. The heat and pressure on the ferment-like plants in the swamps created coal seams. In time, the buildup eroded and returned to the land surface to the level it had been during the Pennsylvanian geological period, 2,000 feet above sea level. This left the Sewanee and Richland coal seams near the surface and in some cases as outcrops. Mountain people. We are mountain people. We are a borage set, they tell us. Hard-bitten, coarse of feature and of speech. Shallow and brawling as the mountain streams, with moral friable as our sandstone. All my life I have wanted to tell them that we are mountain people, that mountain streams have pools of deep quietness, and that beneath the sandstone of our hills there is granite. This is one of the poems that was written by Leonard Tate. And this is talking about the Wooten Mine. Here is where it all started. From this coal mine at Tracy City, Tennessee, grew the South's largest steel producer, the Tennessee Coal and Iron Division of the United States Steel Corporation. This marker is for Mary Noailles Murfree. In the late 19th century and early 20th century, Mary Noailles Murfree was among the best known and most widely read American novelists. She was born in 1850 on what was to become the site of the Battle of Murfreesboro, or Stones River, fought between December 31st, 1862 and January 2nd, 1863. The family home, Grantland, which was on the battlefield, was destroyed and the estate entirely devastated. Murfree published 25 books in the course of her life. She wrote under the pseudonym Charles Egbert Craddock, but after a visit to her publishers, Houghton and Mifflin of Boston in 1884, her identity became generally known. Her first book, a collection of stories titled In the Tennessee Mountains, came out that year and went into 22 printings in several years. Her novel Where the Battle Was Fought, set on the site of the Battle of Murfreesboro, also appeared that year, and she had similarly good reception. This marker is for the Beersheba Springs Hotel. Beersheba Springs was the first white settlement on the plateau. A Shelley Beat spring was discovered there in 1833 by Beersheba Kane of McMinnville after following a trail up the mountain from Tarleton Valley. She had accompanied her husband on a business trip to visit William Dugan, who lived at the base of the mountain and had acquired ownership of that part of the plateau. While her husband and Dugan conferred, she ventured up the mountain. Believing the water to have medicinal value, a tavern was built in 1837 and several cabins were built on the land deeded by Dugan to various McMinnville men, including John Kane, husband of Beersheba, Alfred Payne, Samuel Edmondson, George R. Smart, and William Buck White. The cabins and tavern were patterned after popular Virginia resorts in 1839. The Beersheba Springs Company was incorporated, thus tourism on the plateau was born. John Armfield, a retired slave trader, in 1854 purchased 1,000 acres, the original tavern, proprietor's room, a row of guest cottages, and Buck White's residence. He proceeded to enlarge the tavern into fashionable watering place hotel. He further built 20 cottages to the specifications of persons to whom he leased lots. And there's a picture of the hotel. This marker's for Charley's camp in the Horseshoe. Perhaps the earliest recorded transaction in the vicinity of Beersheba is an entry of 150 acres for William Dugan in 1826 in the Horseshoe known as Charley's Camp, said to be on the south side of Little Laurel Creek and the Collins River. According to local tradition, William Dugan and his wife, with babe in arms, rode horseback from North Carolina to take up this land. The name of the place seems to point to an even earlier times when Charley had a camp there. But where was the Horseshoe and who was Charley? Well, take a look at the rest of this here, and who was Charley? About 1.5 more north of Main Street in McMinnville, there runs a stream named Charles Creek on modern topographical map, but Charles's Creek in older sources. Pleasant Henderson lived on its banks between 1806 and 1811. She recalled that when the first white settlers came to the area, they found a group of friendly Creeks camped near the confluence of this stream with the Collins. Their chief was Charley, and the white man gave his name to the creek. This was apparently an article maybe that appeared in the newspaper, the Sewanee Mountain Messenger, Friday, June 7th, 2019. And the question was, who are the tourists? Before 1794, there were no permanent residents on the Plateau. Cherokee and other Native American tribe members visited the Plateau from time to time with hunting parties, and this state of the Plateau changed after Major James Orr led militia expedition that destroyed the Chickamauga towns along the Tennessee River south of the Plateau. Many inhabitants of the towns fled to the Plateau and were found there by white settlers, mostly of Scotch, Irish, English, or German descent. And there's a lot of reading here. It talks about the University of the South and some other things. Right now it says that the Heritage Center at Tracy City attracts over 2,000 visitors a year. That's good. We're currently at the Heritage Center. This is the Chickamauga Story. Infuriated with the Treaty of Sycamore Shoals, 1775, wherein the Cherokee Nation ceded Transylvania, Kentucky, and part of Tennessee to the American pioneers for settlement, Dragging Canoe in 1776 led 1,000 or so braves south to the region around Lookout Mountain. Opposed to peace with the American revolutionaries, he and his followers soon joined with other Native American tribes, British Loyalists, and others, and established 5 towns in the Tennessee River, where they strove to prevent pioneer settlement into Middle Tennessee. These towns were from east to west: Lookout Mountain Town, Running Water Town, Nickajack Town, Long Island Town, and Crow Town. Known as the Chickamauga, they attacked pioneer flotilla traversing the Tennessee River headed for Middle Tennessee, and further attacked settlements in Middle Tennessee by using the ancient Sitka Trail from St. Augustine, Florida. This trail crossed the plateau at what is now Monteagle on a section known as Nickajack Trail. In 1788, a young boy, Joseph Brown, traveling with his parents and sister on a boat headed for Middle Tennessee, was captured in an ambush by Chickamauga. Brown was raised within the tribe for a few years and later released in a prisoner exchange. Having learned the trail system, Brown showed the pioneers the route by which they were being attacked. In 1794, the militia led by Major James Orr, traveling on the Cisco Trail system, guided by Brown, attacked the Chickamauga and destroyed their 5 towns. It says the descendants of these Native Americans are today a significant part of the population of the Plateau. This is the Warren Memorial Cumberland Presbyterian Church of Tracy City. It was located on this site. The denomination was formed in 1810 following a revival of the Christian gospel in the second wave of the Great Awakening. Settlers from Scotland and Ireland of Scot descent were mainly followers of John Calvin as embodied by the Presbyterianism of John Knox. The Presbyterian Church in the USA required its ministers be ordained with decrees from its seminary at Princeton University. Ministers so ordained and educated were reluctant to serve in remote Appalachia, specifically the frontier region of Kentucky and Tennessee. The Scotch and Scotch-Irish descendants who had settled in Appalachia broke from the Presbyterian Church in the USA and accepted ministers with lesser education who were willing to serve them. Warren Memorial Cumberland Presbyterian Church was established circa 1890 as part of the Elk Presbytery, later absorbed into the McMinnville Presbytery. Its first clerk of the session and oftentimes minister was William Edward Tillett, a Tracy City dentist and photographer. The congregation peaked in membership to 92 in 1893, but by 1915 had dropped to 5. On March 15, 1917, the McMinnville Presbytery adopted its legal committee's report that the church is abandoned, no organization, no eldership, deacons, nor active members, no report to presbytery, nor dues for a number of years. The house fast decaying, and having been in the past, having been used for picture shows and gambling resorts, and not long ago came very near being destroyed by fire. This presbytery first declared Tracy City or Warren Memorial a vacant field and abandoned church. A sale of the church property to E.C. Norville in a former action was reaffirmed. This marker talks about the Mountain Goat. The Mountain Goat Railroad was built by the Sewanee Mining Company to hold coal from the Plateau. It was completed from the Colwyn Tunnel to Coal Bank near St. Andrews Midway in 1856. There was not much coal there, and what was there was of poor quality. The line extended 10 miles through the forest to the site of the original coal find in Benjamin Wooten's farm, where the Wooten Mine was established, and a place named Tracy City for the president of the mining company, Samuel F. Tracy. On November 8, 1858, the first shipment of coal was made. Tracy City remained the end of the line until 1905, when the coal line was extended to Colmont. The line was further extended in 1917 to coal mines established at Palmer. And then here's you some pictures. This marker talks about the WPA in Grundy County and Highlander Folk School. This is just part 1. There are 2 parts to this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's lots of reading here. Please pause and read this. This is part 1. Let's scoot over to part 2. Now here is part 2. Once again, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Please pause and read it. This marker is Arthur St. Clair Colyar. He was from June 23, 1818 to December 13, 1907. He played a major role in the raising of Tracy City like a phoenix from the ashes of the Civil War to an industrial giant in the late 19th century. Colyar was one of the architects of the New South. He and others of like minds believed that the South, following its defeat in the Civil War, should rebuild with economic diversity in agriculture and with an industrial base such as had been accomplished in the North. He applied these principles in the development of the Tennessee Coal and Railroad Company that became his laboratory for forming an industrial base in the South. He fostered the company's development of Sewanee Seam Coal Mine at Wooten Mine No. 1 in Tracy City into coke that could be used in blast furnaces to produce pig iron, the basic ingredient needed for the production of iron and steel products. This marker talks about the Tidman Hotel that faced Railroad Avenue, was partially located on this site, and is one of the victims of the April 27, 1935 fire that destroyed all of the buildings on the north side of Railroad Avenue from Depot Street to Town Creek. The hotel was well located across Railroad Avenue from the train station, where people traveling to Tracy City could conveniently find lodging. Title to the property was acquired by George W. Tidman by deed from T.B. Roddy and Lottie Roddy, his wife, dated October 14, 1897. After the death of George W. Tidman, the hotel was purchased on contract by H.B. Alexander and Artella Bray Alexander, his wife, who operated it as Foxworth Hotel until it burned in the 1935 fire. This marker, still at the Heritage Center, talks about the troop movements across the plateau following the Tullahoma campaign You can see some maps here, and please pause and read this. And once again, I'm keeping talking because there's some music playing in the background. And so just pause and read, and let's look at the other side. This marker talks about the Civil War on the Plateau. And so we're looking at General Bragg, General Rosecrans, and once again, there's lots of reading here. So please pause and read it, and you can find out all about the Battle of the Civil War on the Plateau. This marker is for E.L. Hampton, born March 1st, 1861, died November 27th, 1941. He was born near Winchester, Tennessee. His father was a banker and a farmer. He reached high school age. He moved to Desherd with family and friends. He attended school and worked at night. You can read about all of his history here, but he made an outstanding contribution to the wealth and welfare of Grundy County, Tennessee, and the South. He was a builder of industry, major employer, and significant contributor to the development of one of the nation's most beautiful state capitals. And this marker talks about the Tennessee Consolidated Coal Company. We know that Tracy City was a big coal mining area, so the Tennessee Consolidated Coal Company and the coal processing plant at Palmer, Tennessee is what this picture is. And in the 1960s, there was a dispute between the United Mine Workers and the Tennessee Consolidated Coal Company, which arose from the closing of mines and the reduction of mine workers. So apparently there were some issues that went on, as well as giving all these people good work. This one is called Highlanders, an Idea. It talks about the Highlander Folk School in Four Corners in Grundy County. I'll scroll down. Lots of reading there about Highlander and Christian morality. Highlander Idea moves on. So it talks all about the Highlander Idea. Here we have Dr. Lillian W. Johnson. She was an advocate for agricultural cooperatives, and that was from 1864 to 1956. I'll let you read this. There's some music playing in the background, so I'm trying to talk over it. I wish they would not have the music playing in the background, but what can you do? This marker talks about John Moffat, who was from 1828 to 1886. John Moffat was born in Glasgow, Scotland. His father was a successful businessman, a partner in the manufacturing firm of Moffat and Swan. And in the economic downturn, the elder Moffat immigrated to Canada with his wife and two sons, Moffat's father. After about 3 years of unsuccessful effort to reestablish himself in Canada, becoming depressed, took to drink and left his home. At the age of 19, Moffat became a member of the Sons of Temperance. In 1851, he was appointed its lecturer for the province of Canada, and in 1958, the Sons of Temperance selected Moffat as associate editor for its national publication, Crusader. It is believed that about 1858, while on a temperance lecture tour, he crossed the Cumberland Plateau on a stagecoach traveling to Nashville, from Nashville to Chattanooga, at the place he later named Moffat. He was impressed with the climate, the natural beauty of the area, and what he envisioned as an excellent area for development. And then this one talks about the Southern Riders at Monteagle. Looks like it's Carolyn Gordon Tate, Ann Goodwin Winslow, Andrew Little, Edna Langdon, Barker Little, Nancy Tate, Alan Tate, Robert Lowell, Gene Stafford, and those the picture of those people in Monteagle in 1943. This marker is talking about the artists at Monteagle. We're still a part of the Historical Center. And it's talking about Brantley Smith Studio, started by William Brantley Smith. Looks like he was a painter. This marker is for William L. Beard. It's from 1941 to 2024. This flower garden, the centerpiece of the annex to the Grundy County Historical Society Center outdoor exhibit area, is dedicated in memory to William Beard. Bill was an established collector and dealer of Civil War artifacts. He favored the Heritage Center with lectures and demonstrations of his collections, and donated 6 flint and percussion Kentucky and Tennessee style long guns and 2 shotguns circa the 1830s to the Heritage Center that are on public display. And here's the little garden area. Einar Oswald Nathurst, from 1836 to 1903. In the latter part of the 19th century, Nathurst was secretary and manager of Mountain Home Building and Loan Association that provided funds for miners to build attractive frame homes, many of which are extant today. In 1879, Nathurst acquired the area known as Thompson's Coal Bank and later known as East Ramsey Mines from TCR. It was a 100-acre tract that he named Modoc Vineyard. The name Modoc comes from the Native American group that had its ancestral roots along the California-Oregon border. Nathurst developed a vineyard on about 1 acre of this tract. The remainder he held for subdivision and development. Alfred Montgomery Shook, from 1845 to 1923, he was born on a farm 5 miles south of Winchester, Tennessee. When he was 13, he moved to Winchester to live with his uncle, Allen Shook, who was Winchester's postmaster and also owned a drugstore. In order to earn his keep, the young Shook worked as a clerk in these establishments. Shook accompanied the general manager of TCR, James Cartwright Warner, to St. Louis to study the process by which coal was being converted into coke to be used as fuel to blast furnaces, and Shook provided the citizens of Tracy City with an architectural, high-style public school that he named in memory of his father, James K. Shook School. The school was provided under an agreement with the citizens of Tracy City that they would send their children to the school and provide for its operation and maintenance. In 1950, the town was incorporated and fulfilled the terms of the agreement until it was set afire by arson in 1976. This marker is for James Cartwright Warner from 1830 to 1895. He was appointed Secretary of the Tennessee Coal and Railroad Company in 1868. Soon thereafter, he was promoted to General Manager. He envisioned coke as a solution for the use of slack coal mined at the Wooten Mine. Accompanied by his young associate, Alfred Montgomery Shook, he traveled to St. Louis to observe an ironworks where coke burned from coal was being used as fuel to blast furnaces to produce pig iron, a basic ingredient in the manufacture of iron and steel products. Warner left TCR and formed Warner Iron Company, and after success in the revival and modernization of the coal industry in Middle Tennessee, was in the front ranks of the iron masters of the South. In the spring of 1889, he was elected president of the Tennessee Coal and Iron Company, which was then the largest pig iron producer in the South. The Oaks. The Oaks was a boarding house located on Railroad Avenue west of this site and on the east side of St. Clair Avenue. The building had been the home of the wife of Arthur St. Clair Colyar. Arthur St. Clair Colyar was the attorney who, following the Civil War, effected the reorganization of the Tennessee Coal and Railroad Company and fostered its development into the third largest producer in the nation of pig iron, the basic ingredient used in the production of iron and steel products. Mrs. Colyar sold the property in 1876 to William J. Thomas, whose heirs on January 16, 1911, sold it to Lewis Moore Hines, who named the structure the Oaks, and maintained it as a fashionable boarding house until it was destroyed by fire August 2, 1934. And October 27, 1924, of the edition of the newspaper, Miss Grundy recited, "The Oaks, Tracy City, Tennessee, offered an enchanting setting Monday afternoon, October 27th, for the marriage of Miss Sarah Hines, only daughter of Dr. and Mrs. Lewis M. Hines, and Mr. William Maddox Travis of Chattanooga, Tennessee, with decorations of ferns, smilax, chrysanthemums, and roses. The large stone mantel and the spacious living room was arranged as an altar and banked with smilax and ferns, on which burned many candles in silver candelabra. On either side was placed tall baskets holding specimen chrysanthemums of white and orchid tied with tulle, and tall white candlesticks holding cathedral candles with streamers of tulle between were placed, forming an aisle to the dining room through which the bridal party entered. Tall, massive baskets holding white and orchid chrysanthemums were placed at the entrance to the dining room, and the doors and windows were banked with smilax and studded with rosebuds. Well, that was the markers in the Grundy County Historical Society area. I hope you enjoyed these markers. Stay tuned for more in the future. Like, subscribe, and let us leave comments, especially words I'm misspelling or mispronouncing. I don't know how to pronounce some of these words, so let us know when we make a mistake. Let us know what you like, and we'll see you in the next episode.